Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Tom Clancy's The Division. We are playing the beta, and what I want to do here in this video is give you guys my thoughts, impressions, and general review of the Division beta, right? I got access to this beta one day early because I play on the Xbox, and if you guys don't know, there's an exclusivity deal thing going on here where if you pre-order Tom Clancy's The Division, you get access to the beta one day early if you play on the Xbox One, and then people on the PlayStation 4 and PC will get it one day later. That's just kind of how it works. That's the only way to get into the beta, by the way, is by actually pre-ordering the game, but I decided to do that because I was interested enough in the game. I want to see what it was all about. I want to preface this entire review by letting you guys know that I am not affiliated or sponsored by this game whatsoever. There's a lot of YouTubers that were flown out by Ubisoft and they were paid to make promotional videos of this game. I am not one of those people. I have no affiliation whatsoever with Tom Clancy's The Division or any Tom Clancy game in general. I'm not affiliated whatsoever with Ubisoft or anything. I am just a customer that wanted to pre-order the game and try it out. I'm giving you guys my general thoughts and impressions of it here in this video. Number two, I want to point out that this is beta, right? It's beta. Anything can happen. Anything can change. The game, when it releases in its full state, which I think is going to be in March, can be completely different than what we see here in the beta, so just keep that in mind. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, as it can change. Let's hop into the review, shall we? Tom Clancy's The Division is a cover-based RPG third-person shooter that is developed and published by Ubisoft. Now, after you create your character, which there isn't a ton of customization available to us here in the beta, one's going to assume that's going to change when the game makes its full release. Once you're done with that, which is basically just going back and forth between male and female and just getting a random template, you start the game up. The game starts you out being revived in a helicopter. You're an agent of the Division, and you are trying to rebuild New York. Now, you see, New York was attacked during all the fuss of Black Friday, and the area that was apparently hit the hardest is called the Dark Zone, and we'll be talking about the Dark Zone later on here in this video. You're sent off to establish a base of operations within the city to make your own safe house. Now, along the way, you're going to be finding some seemingly random encounters with NPCs, and it should be noted that everything in this game outside of the Dark Zone is PvE, or player versus everything. This means that you're going to be playing either by yourself or with a group of people, and you're going to be facing NPCs, otherwise known as AI-controlled opponents. Now, some of these NPCs actually have a chance to be named NPCs, right? They're going to be named, indicating that's going to mean that they are rare and likely to drop you something good. And a big focus, of course, of The Division as part of the marketing campaign was that it is a looting-based game, right? You're going to be looting these guys for different kinds of gear that can make your character a little bit better. The idea is to try to get better and better gear and equipment for your character so you can do more damage, take less damage, and unlock new things, so on and so forth. Once you establish your base of operations, which is an instanced area that is exclusive to you, meaning that everything that you do in this base of operations is only going to be seen by you, and it's only going to be affecting how you play the game, you get to meet a variety of vendors. Now, these vendors will actually sell you weapons, gear, modifications, anything you could really dream of, and you can actually sell them a bunch of stuff back and earn currency that way by selling a lot of loot that you get from killing the NPCs out there in the city. Also in here, you will find 3 wings that are essential to building up your character. The Division actually has an incredibly interesting way for you to progress your character and unlock new abilities. So there's going to be 3 different trees that you can build into. There's going to be the medical tree, there's going to be the tech tree, and the security tree. Now, obviously, every single one of these is going to have different abilities, and it's going to cater to different kinds of play styles. Now, you can actually unlock these skill points by leveling up and use these skill points on skills, talents, or perks, each of them, of course, being dependent on the trees that you would like to build into. Once again, medical, tech, and security. Currently, skills is the only section available in the beta, so we're unable to see what any of the talents or what the perks are going to be like, but we do get to see the first 2 skills in the medical, tech, and security trees, which is pretty interesting. To unlock more skills in these categories, you need to do missions that are for their respective branch in your safe house. So the safe house, once again, like I said, is incredibly essential to how you're going to progress your character. There's many different wings inside your safe house. Now, the medical wing, if you want to try and rebuild that and make it as good as you can, by doing so, you're going to unlock different abilities in the medical tree. So you go to the medical wing and you pick up a mission to go rescue a doctor who's being held captive. If you do that, you can upgrade your medical wing, and that will unlock you a new skill in that tree. So basically, doing different missions and completing objectives for that particular wing will unlock you more perks, more skills, and more talents in your medical tree that you see, of course, in your abilities tab. That's a really interesting way to go about things, in my own personal opinion. I think that's really awesome. By the fact that you get to rebuild this entire safe house, and the safe house itself is going to be exclusive to you and the stuff that you want to do with it, I think that's going to be pretty cool. And the same, of course, can be said for the tech and security trees. There are separate wings in your safe house, one for each one of these things, and completing missions and objectives will build up those wings and thus unlock you new abilities for those ability trees. Unfortunately, this is essentially where the beta ends. Nearly everything is locked except for the first 2 abilities in each of these trees, and there's no more story missions for you to do after you get past this point. From here on out, there's only a couple of things left for you to do. You could try to complete the missions for each wing, which is going to try to level you up a little bit by completing missions, and of course unlock you some new skills that you can use on your character. That could be fun for some people. You could also go and explore the city and try to take on random encounters that will award you a bit of XP and maybe get you a couple of nice drops. Or alternatively, you could enter the Dark Zone, which is one of the most anticipated parts about this game. The Dark Zone is the PvP aspect of the Division, right? In a game that is otherwise PvE, the one PvP aspect of this game is in this area, the Dark Zone. So once you come inside, anyone can shoot anyone in this area. There is a ton of big NPCs. They're all pretty tough to kill, but once they do die, they typically will drop you good gear. It's actually said that the best gear in the game can be found from the Dark Zone. The loot that they do drop, however, is contaminated, and it cannot be used until it is extracted from the Dark Zone and decontaminated. Now, how apparently you do this is you basically call in a helicopter and defend that area from other players. I didn't personally get to experience this because I was playing solo, and the Dark Zone is ran by parties of people. If you want to try to extract something, you're going to need friends or at least allies to get by in the Dark Zone, because any player can attempt to kill you at any time. And if you're trying to extract something, people are going to come up and they're going to kill you and try to take your stuff. That's how the Dark Zone works. While you can kill NPCs and get some really good loot, people can kill you and take that loot back, and you're not going to be able to keep any of that loot unless you can extract it, which is going to involve you having a number of friends or at least having a number of allies with you. It should be noted that shooting a non-hostile player, i.e. a player that has not already shot at another player, will actually give you the mark of rogue. It'll make you a rogue agent, which will let everybody kind of know where you're at, and it'll also incentivize people to hunt you down because they get a bit of a bonus for taking you out. It should also be noted that the Dark Zone is not completely just about trying to get the best gear you can from NPCs and then try to escape from it. It's also about leveling. So there's an entirely separate level system. There's one out there in the normal world with PvE, and then there's the Dark Zone level. Now, the higher you get up in the Dark Zone level, you can actually purchase different pieces of gear from the Dark Zone vendor located back at your little Dark Zone safe house, and from there you can actually purchase some pretty good gear with these points that you get by killing stuff and doing stuff within the Dark Zone. The PvE aspect of the Division beta I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the missions were very interesting. I love the way that they incorporate your safe house with how you can progress your character and unlock new abilities. I thought all of that was really great. The PvP side of things, however, I was not nearly as impressed by because I was playing solo. I was out there lone wolfing it, and it's very hard to accomplish anything in the Dark Zone if you're playing by yourself. You, of course, can run around and find a bunch of NPCs, a bunch of little NPC gangs and whatnot, and kill them and take their loot and so on and so forth, but you can't extract any of that loot just by yourself, or if you can, it's very, very difficult. Now, there are, of course, different ways to play the Dark Zone. You don't have to try to extract with a bunch of gear. You can just try to play for level and try to play to get Dark Zone points, which will allow you to purchase stuff from the Dark Zone vendor. You could also do that as well, but just for me personally, I didn't think it was very well put together. I personally didn't have a lot of fun doing it. I much more enjoyed the PvE aspect of the game, but unfortunately, in its current state in the beta, there isn't a lot to do in either PvP or PvE. It's just a very limited beta in general, and I have high hopes for the Division. I really do. I hope they continue to grow both the PvE and the PvP aspects of the game. On the PvE side, I hope that the game is more about group content and less about solo content, right? I'm hoping that the game does have a nice story and that we can go through and play, but I'm hoping that's not the entire PvE side, and then once you're done with that and you get to endgame, the endgame is the Dark Zone, right? I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping endgame is full of instances and raids and group content for us to do. I want to grab, 4 of my friends, and I want us to go to the hospital or something like that, and I want us to be able to take on that instance. I want it to be very difficult. I want there to be boss waves. I want there to be difficult mechanics for us to deal with. The game is already kind of built in that respect. You look at the fact that there's an entire medical tree that's about healing your teammates and whatnot. It's kind of saying, yeah, this is going to be a game where you're going to be working together with players. I'm hoping they really take advantage of that at endgame, right? Because essentially it's supposed to be an RPG game. It's not really all about PvP like you see in the Dark Zone. It's supposed to be an RPG game. It's supposed to be third-person cover-based and all that. So I'm hoping that it's going to be kind of like Destiny in some respects, or maybe like MMOs where you have a lot of group content for you to tackle with a group of people. That would be fun in my eyes. Now, for the PvP side of things, I'm hoping they, again, continue to grow the game. They continue to add more content to the Dark Zone, or maybe expand upon the Dark Zone, add more things for us to do in there, and make it so it's more interesting. Incentivize people to want to go there and continue to play in the Dark Zone. Just make the game enjoyable for everybody. That's what I'm really hoping for. Now, if there's one thing I've learned over games that have come out in recent years, is that a lot of games promise you the moon, and then once they actually come out, they have a severe lack of content. I'm hoping this game is not like that. Obviously, I want the game to have as much content as possible. I'm hoping there's content for a wide variety of people. I hope there's lots of PvE and PvP stuff to do here in this game. I'm hoping it's not going to turn out to just be like essentially a single-player RPG game, and then once you get to max level, you have to go play in the Dark Zone. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of stuff for people to do, lots of PvE content and PvP content for people to explore, but we're going to have to see what they're going to be doing with the game once it comes out and makes its full release on March 8th of 2016. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to conclude my review, my first impressions here of the Tom Clancy's The Division beta. And once again, guys, it's a beta. Everything I said is subject to change. Everything that you saw in this video could be completely wiped out by the time the game actually comes out. It's in beta. They can change anything. Just take everything I said with a grain of salt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys all found it helpful and informative. Drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.